Despite it being a Democrat versus Democrat, the city of Houston made a great decision on their next mayor. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new video today. It is time that we do a post-mortem of last night's Houston elections. That is right, everyone. Last night, there were actual elections that happened, and not just, insignificant ones from, Vermont or whatever. This is the fourth largest city in America that just had an election. And it's the last significant one before the Iowa caucuses. And I gotta say, despite our disappointments this year, we've had L after L after L. Chicago, Pennsylvania was a joke, Wisconsin was a disaster. Despite this being a Democrat v. Democrat, I think we won. I think the voters of Houston made the right decision. Listen, I'm not saying there's going to be a red wave next year. That's the one thing I gotta mention. People are saying that this means a red wave's gonna happen. No. However, I do think it does show that if you just run on issues that matter to voters, you're gonna win. And John Whitmire, from everything I've seen, ran a damn good campaign. Focused on what mattered to voters. Despite him being a Democrat, he was a true centrist, moderate, whatever you want to call him. His voting record is very moderate. He has a very conservative voting record in the state Senate, despite being a Dem. It's like 30-40% conservative. For the record, the most conservative Democrat in Congress, I think, is like Jared Golden at 15% based on ACU. So yeah, it seems like that a true moderate centrist Dem did win the Houston mayor election. But first, before we continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Guys, just for $1 a month, you can join Real American. This is the best way to support the daily content that we all know and love. So I hope and recommend you join the channel today. Alright, everybody, now let me be clear. I'm not, like I said, a red wave in Houston, it could happen, but this is not going to indicate it. Because Houston is a bit more, Republican than other big cities. It's the fourth largest city, I believe, in America, but it's like 65-35 Dem. Unlike, say, Chicago, which is like 80-20 Dem. This is a bit more Republican, a bit more conservative. And that's why John Whitmire, the moderate centrist Dem, won. Not by just a little bit. He won by a landslide. This wasn't even close. And I thought, okay, he was the favorite based on every metric that we had. But nobody thought he was going to win by... It ended up being like a 2-1 margin victory, I believe. It was bad for Sheila Jackson Lee. Which, by the way, thank God. This bozo should have retired years ago. She's delusional, deranged. She's been serving in Congress for 30 years and has done nothing. The fact that people like this still exist is just, I don't know. Why are you still in office? You've never had a good record. You insult your own campaign staffers. We know that based on leaked footage. And it's just a mess. It was a bad campaign, and the margins showed. And it proved that progressive policies, I don't think it's popular. Running on these progressive policies like being soft on crime and all that crap, like Jackson Lee is, she is not a law and order candidate, it's not popular. So let's just get into it. Let's get into this. Whitmire, a perennial tough on crime voice who for decades heralded Texas regulations over public safety, was declared the winner by the AP with 57% reporting. At that point, Whitmire was leading by an almost 2-1 margin. Yeah. What does that tell you about the more progressive Sheila Jackson Lee versus the more moderate John Whitmire, who ran as essentially a conservative Dem in the modern era, who was tough on crime? With backing from the city's fire department and police unions and a multi-million-dollar campaign war chest, Whitmire was the early favorite in the race and finished first in the 18 Canada general election in November. But no one thought he was going to win by the margin he did. I mean, nobody did. Everybody thought Whitmire's favored, but 5 to 6 points. Not by as much as he won. It was a complete blowout. It was absolutely pathetic how bad of a defeat this was. In Houston, it's not the most Democrat city in the world, fine, but it's not Republican either. It shows you, even Democrat voters, in particular Hispanics, they want law and order. They want pro-police stances. And that's what the Democrat ran on, Whitmire. His coalition was moderate Dems, independents, and conservative voters, with a prominent campaign promise to make the city safer with increased policing, aka common sense. There are so many voters that are Democrats, that are legitimate moderates in the voter base. They still exist. There's a lot of Hispanics that they're not progressive Bernie bros. They're not socialist. They're just there within the Democrat Party. They support stuff like law and order. But guess what? Republicans every single year fail to capitalize on this. I understand this was a Democrat v. Democrat, but Whitmire won on the backs of the moderate Dems, the independents, and conservative voters, and really the moderate Dems. He had to win a decent chunk of Dems to win this race. He had to. And he did. His campaign was focused on law and order. The showdown between Whitmire and Jackson Lee illuminates the fault lines within the Democrat Party over how to deal with crime at a local level. Also seen in the mayor races in LA and New York City in recent years. Crime has really become a major issue, not only reality, but the perception. We cannot have a Houston perceived as not being a safe city. Whitmire previously told Politico. Yeah. Why do you think he won by so much? This was technically nonpartisan. I know people are going to say, oh, they're both Dems, which, yeah. But it is technically nonpartisan, and it is a progressive v. moderate. The progressive did not run the law and order campaign. The centrist did. This just illustrates how unpopular these soft on crime losers are in the Democrat Party. It does. Voters want safe streets. Voters want to make sure drug dealers aren't on every corner, handing out God knows what. They want to make sure Jimmy, who is a drug addict, isn't sitting there injecting himself with God knows what. Even Dems want to stop this. But delusional progressives think, no, that's popular. People want that. We just gotta cut funding for the police and put it a scandal of social services. Sure, I'm certain that's gonna work. I understand these people need help, but there's so many people that they're flat out criminals, what they're doing on the streets. Are social workers gonna deal with that? You need police to deal with these criminals. There's a lot of them that are. Not all of them, but a large chunk of them are. The race also marked a rare showdown between two long-tenured lawmakers from a party that has flailed politically in deep red Texas. Whitmire, who's 74, and Jackson Lee, has 73, are Texas institutions in their own right, easily recognizable in their arenas of Austin and Washington. And you just look at this. Jackson Lee was the Democrat pick. I know that's crazy because Whitmire is the moderate, but look who endorsed her. Bill and Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries. She had the backing of the Democrat establishment, despite her clearly being the more moderate Dem. Or not the more moderate, the more progressive Dem. What does that show you about the current state of Democrats? You had a true centrist Dem, and the party establishment, they didn't want him. Because he wants to clean up the streets. He wants to actually make significant change. I mean, you just look at this. I mean, Jackson Lee talked about abortion and Trump bad against a Democrat. You cannot make this up. And I'm telling people, progressive Dems and as a whole, the Democrat Party, this talking points, this is not going to work next year. This was a Dem v. Dem, and guess what? The one that ran on Law and Order won easily. The one that focused on abortion and Trump, Trump-style Republican, she got wiped out in Houston. I don't know what to say. I'm not saying the red wave's going to happen. No, nobody with a brain is saying that. But this should wake up the Democrat Party of, hey, people care more about crime. People care about, hey, we're running out of money. This City Hall is going bankrupt. Money's disappearing to God knows where. Our roads are falling apart. And you're talking about abortion? In a state that no matter what you do is going to have it banned? I don't know what to say, but it's baffling to me that despite her being the more progressive Dem, clearly, the Democrat establishment got behind her. What does that show you about the current state of affairs within the Democrat Party? That they agree more with Jackson Lee than they do with John Whitmire. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Thank you so much. Godspeed to all of you.